and welcome to another episode of Navigating Through Divorce. And in the previous episode, we lightly touched on financial independence and the importance thereof. And I'm very pleased to announce that today I have a personal friend and a very, very smart woman, Edith Kennedy. Edith is, she's a teacher, and she teaches entrepreneurial and strategic leadership. And she's also taught entrepreneurship for Small Business Academy initiative through the University of Stellenbosch Business School. And this is why I have Edith here today, because we want to discuss the importance of financial independence. Whether you're in an unhappy or in a happy marriage, whatever your situation is, your financial future is important and something that you need to think about. If you do not have an income stream or you don't have any way of securing a financial future, this could potentially be problematic when you find yourself in a situation where there is a divorce on the horizon. And we don't want that. So today, I want to speak to Edith about this because she knows about entrepreneurship. And I'm very grateful that she's here. Thank you, Edith.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask Edith today, what do you think, from a woman's perspective, should you do to prepare yourself for your financial future?
Okay, good. Yeah, it's a tricky question because there's not a straightforward answer and everybody has a different situation. But you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we saw now with this COVID situation, none of us expected this. And the same way, you might end up in a marriage and all of a sudden things, happen, or it might end up that you have to end up being a single mum, or like in my case, I've never been married, but I have to look after myself. There's nobody else that's going to do it. And I think it's so important for women to really get to that point where they can look after themselves and not, fall into that almost trap of having somebody else to look after them. I mean, I've got brothers that, can help out and so on, but I feel the need to constantly look after myself, and it's not always easy, but there's ways to go about it. And I think this is why it's very important to think about your future and to think, what is going to happen in the next 2 years or 5 years? Where are you going to be in the next 5 years? And having that thought in your mind and having that preparation for, being able to look after yourself, there's a certain part of planning that you have to do for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. So, even if you think everything is going fantastic, and I mean, even if your job is going great, again, like with COVID, there's so many things that happened and companies couldn't cope and they let people go. And now what? Now what do you do? If you don't have a backup plan, or if you haven't even thought of a possibility, it's not meant to scare you. It's not meant to say that, things are always going to go wrong.
Yeah, don't go into a panic.
Yeah, it's just that have that idea, behind you. Prepare for it. Plan for something that could possibly go wrong, even if it's just creating a nest egg. It might be that you're sitting in a situation where you've got, no income coming in. But if you had, started building up some form of nest egg, it could help you. So that's why I think it's really important.
And you see, that's the thing. The future is so unknown. We do not know what is going to happen in the future. And I mean, you could say, I'm in a happy situation right now. I'm quite secure. My husband's earning enough. But the future is unknown. And if you are not prepared for any scenario, and I mean, it's impossible to prepare for every single scenario because there will be hundreds. There's multiple futures to think about.
Yeah.
But from a financial point of view, like you said, for instance, a nest egg, if you think of the possibility that you could find yourself in a situation where the person that you're financially dependent on could disappear, magically overnight, as well as that money. For whatever reason, will you be okay? That's the question. Can you provide for yourself and for your children, or for yourself and your animals, if people have fur kids, or just for yourself, whoever. And I think that's the bottom line, to be able to take care of yourself. But Edith, I want to know about you. How can women become financially self-sufficient in this day and age?
For me, it comes down to planning, to thinking about what can you do, and then you have to make a decision. Do you want to fall back onto a career, or do you want to become an entrepreneur and start your own business? Or are you planning to find some way to save, or to build a nest egg, or have that saving basket for yourself? So that's the big thing. And there's ways and means of doing that, because I think a lot of people first panic and they go, I don't know what to do now, So it comes down to where you're actually going to have a really strong conversation with yourself and write it down and go, what do I really want to do? And there's a couple of nice exercises that you can do about this. One is called Queen for a Day. Okay.
Ooh. That sounds like my type of exercise.
That's exactly, I think, you would fit in right with that one. So I did it with quite a few of the entrepreneurs that I work with. I did a Women in Entrepreneurs program, and it was very interesting what came out of that. So the idea is you imagine yourself to be queen of the world for one day, and how would you change the laws? Okay. And so then you've got to pick the laws that you would change for that single day. And after that, people then can sort out and, continue with whatever you've decided. And what I found is with a lot of the women, it came out about their circumstances. What would they look at? And in one particular, group, the woman was so concerned about the youth, of what's happening with the youth at the moment. And for them, it was, how do we protect the youth? How do we make sure that they do have a future? And how do they actually, get jobs or start businesses? Or how do they look after themselves when them as the mothers and grandmothers or guardians have gone? And that sort of starts triggering for you where your passion lies, where your actual interest lies, and it could be then it starts making you think, okay, do I actually want to start a educare center? Or, do I want to start a programmer, even if it's an MPO for kids? Or, do I actually want to go back into teaching or start some form of teaching, or support for youth? So it comes down to then it just gets you going. So that's like the first exercise. Okay. Then the next exercise is to go, well, if money were no option and place were no option, what would I be doing in the next 10 years? Okay. So
that's a good scenario exercise.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because now you have to start thinking, well, because a lot of times people go, oh, but I can't do that because I don't have the funds for it, or I can't get the financing for it, or, there's no money for that. I can't go study that or do
And
that.
that's often the problem.
It is, and so you push that to the back of your mind and you go, it's not important. I would never be able to do that. And you don't build your confidence to go, but you know what? If there were no obstacles, I would be able to go and do this. And also sometimes, people sort of think, but, there are all these obstacles and I'm not going to be able to do it. So, it's that negative reinforcement all the time.
It's a path that you create in your brain that's a negative path. And I love this exercise, because what you're actually saying is, imagine a scenario where it's possible.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you start to believe that it is possible.
That's it. Exactly. Because now it starts opening up ideas and starts opening up things. But you know what? If I did this one thing, maybe I could study something, or I could connect with an organization that's already doing what I have in mind. Maybe I can learn from them, and it starts opening up all these possibilities of what can I really do with my life? where can I actually take
Yeah.
this that I really want?
And we often need that
Um,
mind shift, because sometimes when we are in a dark place, our thoughts are so limiting.
yeah. And you know, and that's also why a lot of people get, you know, so depressed about their lives, because it's like a, you know, you can't see it. You can't see
Yeah.
the light outside there. And just by doing these two exercises, sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes you need to do it a couple of times, or it also helps to have somebody help you through that process. If there's somebody you trust, go to them and say, okay, this is what I've been thinking. What do you think? You know, how do you think? Could I do this? Would I be able to do this? And get somebody who can give you honest feedback and say, well, actually, you know what, that might not quite be in your wheelhouse, but what if you actually twisted it and, you know, shaped it to this? That's what you would be absolutely awesome at doing.
Exactly. And it has to be an honest, grounded person who you will know, because the thing is, if you go to someone in your family who you know loves you dearly, and you go to your grandmother and you say, grandmother, I've decided I want to sell bicycles, but you have never even touched a bicycle in your life, your grandmother is going to say, I think that's a fantastic idea, dearie. You should do that. Start selling bicycles tomorrow.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you live on a yacht on the ocean somewhere where people can't ride bicycles.
Yeah.
Which is where the market research comes in.
That's it. Yeah. So once you've done those two exercises, it starts building that passion, you know, and the whole point is, what I want people to, especially women, to realize is that they can do things, okay, but they've got to unlock what they can do and what's best for them. So once you start building, okay, do you know, I really want to go and do that. That's what I've always wanted to do. I've just maybe never had the chance to do it, or I've been kind of stopped from doing it, or stopped myself from doing it. But actually, I've always wanted to do it. And then now you start looking at, well, okay, how am I going to do that? So I find you need to write things down. For me, I'm a visual person, so I want to always write it down. I want to create a vision board, or I want a mind map or something. But I find things that I wrote down, say 4 or 5 years ago, I find all of a sudden I go, oh, actually I did do that, and I can
Yes, and it's a nice refresher.
Yeah, so I find that helps you also put forward your direction of what you want to do and how you want to do it. So it's very important to go and sit down and take those ideas and now map it out, because also by actually writing it down and mapping it out, you know, starting off, either whether you put like step number 1 or step number 2, this is how I want to go about it, or you know, creating a nice vision board. I think vision boards are actually great.
I do vision boards myself. I believe that if you have a visible visual board of your dreams and your targets, it actually subconsciously creates that motivation. You don't even know that you are looking at this thing, and you are working towards making this happen, because it triggers a subconscious attraction level to this thing that you want, and it helps as a reminder that you start to work on it every single day. So, and I'm a firm believer, and it's worked for me before.
No, it's definitely, it's great to have something, and that you can put it up somewhere that you can see it, you know, or whether it's in your diary, but that you've drawn it, that you can flip back to it and you can go,
absolutely,
there it is. And then you can add to that as well, because the more ideas come to you, and then you go, oh, actually, you know, it would be better if I worked it this way. And that visual thing helps so much. Like you say, it attracts also the ideas, because now you're also remembering it more clear, and now you when you're out somewhere, you see something, it triggers an idea.
You still remember.
So I firmly believe you need to sit down and write it out for yourself. And the other thing is, now say for example, you know, you've created your vision board, you've got your passion. Now you've got to decide, am I, you know, do I want to actually make this, you know, go back into a job, or find a job, you know, that suits these skills? maybe there's a chance that you now have to up those skills, whether it's your hard skills, like maybe accounting or, you know, a marketing course or whatever, or it could be your soft skills on leadership or even mindfulness. But it's that preparation of, you know, getting your skills up so that you can go and do what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's lots of free ways of doing that. You don't have to spend a lot of money on that. I mean, Google, it's fantastic. Google's,
Yeah,
you know, the
well,
answer for everything.
I mean, there are informal education universities online now where you can
Yeah,
find a
open
library of
university.
resources of YouTube videos that will teach you a
Absolutely.
skill from A to Z. So
Yeah,
there's actually no excuse to not be
that's it.
able to do something.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, sometimes it's a bit scary deciding what skills should I do, you know, and again, go and talk to somebody who knows a bit about that topic or that,
Would you
you know,
say
thing
they
that you
should
want to
find a
go for.
mentor?
Mentor is always good. It's what I would do though is use a mentor a bit later when you've actually started or about to start your business. Here, for this type of thing, you need something more like a career coach or you know, even somebody who's got the expertise. And this is why, you know, I think LinkedIn is brilliant, because if you've got a great LinkedIn profile, it helps you connect with those experts. And that's where you can start adding, you know, asking advice. So that's your first skill to up and get going is get yourself a LinkedIn profile and use it. But you know, sometimes in the beginning it's still figuring out what I have to do. So get somebody who can help you along that path. A mentor is somebody who really guides you through a process. So you can get a mentor just for that, but you want a mentor when you actually need more serious advice, if I can put it that way.
So
you know,
you actually need, if you're thinking about starting something, you need a good sounding board, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I would
it's
also
so
use
it's so important, because your thoughts, even if you're a positive person and you are a creative person, your thoughts are also quite limited because you are too close to home to the situation. And sometimes discussing it with other people and perhaps other entrepreneurs, you know, it creates like a new avenue of thinking, and that back and forth, you know, it gets exciting. I mean, you and I have been there before. It gets exciting, and you know, the creative juices start flowing, and also that excitement is such a great aspect to have when you're starting a business or when you're starting something new. It really helps to have that optimism.
And you know what, that's why the networking is so important. You have to expand your network, and that's usually also very scary for somebody on the starting journey, because you think, oh, you know, I don't know enough yet, I don't know the people. But that's exactly how you learn, is from these guys that know but more, you know. So and like you say, you know, we've had those discussions where it just like starts triggering everything, and you start,
and you
like,
can talk
we
for
can
hours.
do this, we can do that. Yeah. So that becomes actually the and that's adds the positivity to the whole thing, you know. And then you realize, oh, but I can do this. I you know, this is something I want to do, so I'm going to do it, you know.
It's like shaping a ball of clay. You know, you walk with this ball of clay to someone and you say, help me think of an idea what I can shape this into. And it's such an exciting time. I mean, like, if I think about like some of the avenues that I ventured into, that endorphins, that, you know, you get so excited, and it helps you also with your marketing and moving forward. And if that mind channel is open, it makes you more open to, it makes you more susceptible to have other entrepreneurs engage with you and create that network.
And you'd be surprised at how, you know, other, you know, new entrepreneurs are eager and keen to help. So that also adds nicely. And it's actually nice. I once used to have this group called the Serenity Circle. And it literally was just a group of women who had, you know, each had their own business, and we would just bounce ideas off each other, you know, once a month. And it ended up being so much fun, and we just started pulling in more and more people to it. because then this one's got an idea, or this one's like, oh, you should chat to this one, go and collaborate with this one, go and find this one, or what about this? Let's, what if you had to
Yes.
do this, So definitely find your people,
And it's so important actually to collaborate. I always believe that you are more powerful when you collaborate. And to find a network of people willing to collaborate with you is invaluable.
Absolutely. And I think because a lot of people go, oh, but they've also got a hair salon and I want to start a hair salon now. That's my competition. But it's not about them being competition. It's you do things your way. You have your own personality, your own style, your own way of doing it. They can advise you. And then at some stage you might find, they're focusing much more on, say, wedding hair and so on. They're focusing much more on the whole beauty package or whatever. You're focusing maybe on, so it's all about, how you can, and sometimes you can collaborate then with that person. It might be that they need you, for an extra hour or two, or, they say, well, there might be some other way that you can tap into this. So,
and it's so important to understand that you are part of the package of whichever the product is that you're selling. People are not just buying what you're selling, but they are buying they are investing into you.
Yeah.
And
that whole customer experience is, it used to be the whole, like a shoemaker or whatever long ago would be caring about that person's feet. But of course now with big mass production, that's not happening. So in the beginning, it's so important to work with your customers and to find out what your customers actually want. So,
and especially if you find your niche, it's going to be something that you understand. It's going to be something that you handle your unique way. And it's like you always read online, but I really truly do believe in it. Your power is the fact that you are you and no one else is you. You are so unique. That's your superpower. And if you can use that as to drive your sales, there isn't competition.
And and it's also about the process. It's about how you do it. I mean, everybody can bake cakes, or some people can bake cakes, but it's
I'm going to hold you on to that for next time, Edith. When we have a coffee, I want cake.
All right. Depends which one. But, you might find, I've got a friend who, she does these amazing cakes, but she focuses on cakes that are made from beetroot and sweet potato. And,
cool.
And yet, and yet it's all covered in chocolate and everything. And it's like this awesome cake, And then you see somebody else who's also made a cake, but obviously they've made it now from flour and so on. And it's also covered in chocolate and it looks the same, but it's then about the taste, And so it depends. You're going to have a group of people that rather want something interesting and different and, gluten-free, and other people are going to focus much more on that. So it's your way of doing things that's going to change the
That's
whole
her
thing.
niche.
And the same way is the way you take photographs. I mean, you live yourself into those people, I love it when you take photos because you like telling the story.
I don't think our audience know, but I'm a photographer and Edith has seen me in action at the university for quite some time. Thank you for that. I don't know what it looks like when I take photos because I'm in my own world, but now I know.
But you see, so I mean, there's other people that just take the photo because that's what they have to do, and they've been given an order, shots like this, and you come up with these other angles and the people aspects. And
listen, if you don't sing with your hands and you do not walk into an interview prepared with a dance, what is the point even? Everything should be done with passion. And
that's half the job then done of being an interviewer. So,
Listen, Edith, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm really craving cake now. That's the only reason. I think I should take a trip up to you now. You said you can bake a cake, so I want cake and tea, please.
By the time you get to it, it'll be ready.
Okay. Listen, Edith, it was fantastic having you here. And I would like to tell our audience that we're going to do a podcast range with Edith, discussing entrepreneurship, discussing financial futures. We're going to do more lessons and suggested methods of what you can do for yourself as an entrepreneur and how to start and just get it going. And that's all you have to do. Small steps at a time. You don't have to start a successful business today.
Yeah.
Even if you put a pen to a paper today and say, this is my vision, and you write one line down, you've done 1% of what you're supposed to do. So well done to you if you've done that.
There we go. So one of the things I want to leave you with is, you know, write down stuff, write down, and every time you see an idea, you should actually have a little ideas book, okay, or on your phone, okay? We're in the digital age, but
I still like writing.
I do too. I still, and you know, I want to type it out. But all of those ideas, whether it's the most far-fetched idea you've considered, you know, ever in your life, or you think it's the funniest thing ever, write it down, because at some stage you'll be able to look at all of those ideas and go, do you know what? These three are actually going to work together. That's my product. That's what I want to create a business out of. And you're going to test it and you're going to work with it, and it might not be the right thing, but then you say, oh, actually I had this idea. What if I just changed it a little bit, and here we go. And then you'll see what happens. Most amazing things are going to happen.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much, Edith. Until next time.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it. So take care.
Thank you.